We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity and Coffee Connections. And this is going to be an after. Always come early and stay late because that's where the real magic happens. And so Elva was talking about, delegation. And so we went through some of that in the first one. But then he got into, well, how do you know, like knowing we need to do something, that's one thing, but then doing it. So that if we know how to do something that we're not doing, there's one of three reasons why we don't do what we know we need to do. So the first reason, although we don't do what we know we need to do, is we don't know the true benefit of doing it. The second reason we don't do so in coaching, one of my companies that I own is a coaching company. So executive business owner, executive coaching, and people will say, well, Mark, I know what I need to do. I'm just not doing it. So I don't know that I really need coaching. It's like, well, that's probably why you need coaching. So the second is we don't know the true cost of not doing it. And the third reason is we don't know how to get it done with our current bandwidth. So we don't have the bandwidth to do it. So we don't know the true benefit of doing it. We don't know the true cost of not doing it, or we don't have the benefit. We don't have the bandwidth. So when somebody says, Mark, I know what I need to be doing, I'm just not doing it. What they're saying really is, I know on a surface level that I need to be doing this, but I don't know at a deep level. So they have surface knowledge, and surface knowledge is one of the most dangerous forms of knowledge, because we think we know something, but we don't know. We don't know it at a deep level. So everything that we know at a deep level, we're doing. Everything we know at a deep level, we're doing. And so this is where, either being part of a coffee connection and or, having executive coaches that really know what they're doing. It's not, it's really deep, like an understanding of delegation and the science behind it, the understanding of why aren't we getting something done that we know needs to be done. And so there's something that's called, so people will ask me, Mark, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I'm not sure, but when you find out, tell my wife. And, um, and so there's something that's called a boss system. It's the business operating system. So it's the engine that runs the business or organization. We earn the money we earn, work the hours we work, have the stress and life balance we do or don't have due to our boss, the engine that runs our business or organization. There are three elements to boss. There's the DNA for people, DNA for business, and DNA for life. The DNA for people is the ability to identify somebody's personality within 17 seconds. Once we understand their personality, we know their strengths, weaknesses, what they like, what they don't, turns them on, turns them off, if they're married, who they're married to, conflict of marriage. We know more in 17 seconds than they know about themselves. This is one of the most powerful things. I discovered this. So I'm 61 years old now. I discovered this when I was 24, 25, and it changed everything in business for me. I mean, it's crazy. So it's through a nonprofit organization, Life Masteries Institute, the same one that puts together Coffee Connection and stuff like that. Amazing. So it obviously helps you with all your employees. It helps you in selling. It helps you in servicing clients. So what causes one personality pain gives another personality pleasure. And so we tend to like other people who are like us. We tend to fall in love with people that are opposite of us. And so DNA for people is magical. The 530 grid, I'll share that in just a second. And then the third is DNA for life. These are natural laws. There's over 500 that we've discovered in the last 30 plus years. One of these is just one of them. The 500 is the cluster principle. Understanding that at a deep level will double our business every year. Why? Because the cluster principle states that individuals that are making buying or selling decisions on average will know between 3 and 9 other people that are making that same type of buying or selling decision. So first time home buyers know other first time home buyers. People who own their own companies know other people who own their own companies. People that have large families like myself, I know other people that have large families too. So people tend to go ahead and cluster around other people. So imagine you don't have to get 9 referrals from every one of your clients, but if you got 2 clients from every one of your clients, you double your business forever. That one principle. So we understand, okay, referrals, how do we get referrals from our clients? We understand it, but we have to have the systems. If we don't have the systems, it's not going to, it's like almost knowing that you have oil in your backyard, but you don't have the equipment or the knowledge or the resources to tap into it. That's where the 530 grid comes in. Oh, in business, there's 5 areas. Every business has 5 areas. And so this is how it's like a pipeline with 5 pipes. This is ideally how our business should look. This is often how it looks. That's not good. Everything, so we're only as strong as our weakest pipe. And so if you have a pipe that's 10 inches, but then you go down to 2 inches, you're only going to be as strong as, it's like a chain. A chain, you're only as strong as your weakest link. Same thing with a pipe. Everything to the left of your smallest pipe is extra costs that you have in your business. Everything to the right is going to be lost profit. But then we have leaks in our pipes. And so one of the companies that I own, they go ahead and one of the companies has what's called a business life x-ray. And so the x-ray will look at 3 dimensions, 9 major areas, 7 systems, looks at over 40 areas of your business and life. It looks at what you're doing right, little tweaks you could do to improve. It looks at the 4 phases that every business must go through to get your business running without you. So what's the difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur? A business owner is often going to be content running their business their whole life. An entrepreneur has all these other ideas or all these other businesses that they could start. So they want to get their one business up and going and either get it up and going, sell it so they can start another business, or get it up and going without them so they can start this business, this business, this business. So an entrepreneur thinks very, very different than a business owner. And so in the 530 grid, you have here marketing is how do you generate more and better leads? Pre-sales is once you get a lead, what do you do with it? The sale is that's the yes or the no. Servicing is how do you create raving fan experience? And then client or relationships for life. How do you build lifelong relationships? Let's say that your business was currently doing 1 million and you wanted to get it to 5 million. Well, you could have 4 out of the 5 pipes at 5 million, but if one of them is only at 700,000, you're only going to do 700,000. You've got to go ahead and have all the pipes in alignment. There are 6 levels of proficiency in each of these 5 areas. It's called the 530 grid. So when Tom Kuntz, the most recent past president of Century 21, first time he saw this, he's like, he said, I've never seen anything like this. He said, this is the holy grail for business. He said, it'll work for a kid with a lemonade stand or a multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar company all around the world. So there's an absolute science in being able to go through and do this. And so there's something that I and one of my companies created probably over 30 years ago, 32 years. It's called a business life x-ray. So it looks at 3 dimensions in your business, 9 major areas, 7 systems, looks at over 40 areas of your business and life. It looks at what you're doing right, little tweaks that you could do to improve. It looks at the 4 phases that every business goes through to get the business to run without you. It's a really cool analysis. There's actually different types of, there's different types of x-rays. So I'll just cover the business x-ray real quick. And so the business x-ray will go ahead and so there was a guy that did it a few years ago. And so there's 2 parts to it. There's the initial interview. It takes about an hour to go through. And then there's the review of it. So somebody who's a certified, consultant will go through it with you. And so I had the privilege of doing the review with him. He had 3 businesses actually. And so I did the review. And after the review, I asked him, I said, do you have any questions? And he says, Mark, I am so ticked off. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? What do you mean? And he's like, I wish I'd have known you a year ago. And I'm like, okay. I said, why? And he said, I paid an outside consulting company over $40,000 to analyze my business. And he said, I learned more from your $285 business x-ray than I did the 40,000. I'm like, shoot, I wish we'd have known each other too. I could have saved you a lot of money. And so the x-ray goes through and it looks at all these different aspects of it. And so it's really, really powerful in what it'll do. And then there's other types of assessments too that are very helpful. And so there's 3 personal assessments. So you have the business x-ray, and then you have the leadership assessment, and then you have an executive assessment. If you're, a larger company or you want your whole team to go through it, there's a team assessment, a group assessment, and then a full C-level assessment. So there's a number of different assessments. So really, if you want to get your business, so like if you write down right now, what's your wow income goal? What's something that would absolutely just totally excite you? Write that down. And then beside that, write down, how much you're currently earning. And then write this down. How many hours are you currently working? Write that down. And then beside that, write down how many hours you would like to be working ideally. So then circle your wow income goal and circle the number of hours you'd like to be working. And then look at the difference between what you're currently earning and what you'd like to be earning, and what you're currently working and you'd like to be working. And the difference between those is what we call the subconscious gap. So this is your subconscious. Your subconscious is telling you how much you could be earning. And your subconscious is telling you how much you could be working. The subconscious is great at telling us what our potential is, but it's terrible at telling us how to get there. So your subconscious is very good at knowing your potential. Like I could get my business to 5 million or whatever that number is. So your subconscious will tell you what your wow income goal is and how many hours you could be working. But it's not good at telling you how to get there. So what we do is we live as human beings in a continued habitual state of frustration. We growl, why can't I figure this stuff out? So there's 3 steps. It's one of the natural laws. It's 3 steps to anything. So it's examination, solution, and implementation. There's an entire science behind this. I could talk forever, but I won't. We're just about finished. That gives you kind of an overview of everything. So the examination, no doctor is going to give you a prescription without doing an examination. Same thing is true in business. If somebody's trying to sell you something without doing a good examination, they either don't know what they're doing. Before you do anything in business, especially now, there's a million things you want to do, 2 million things other people want you to do, and 10 million things you could be doing. And you know what? They're all good. Every one of them are good things. The hard part is not finding the good. The hard part is finding the great. Like the great is the hardest part. And so it's one of the things that I love about the business x-ray, because it helps us to see where are we at? And so I can show you probably. Let's see here. So this is what a business x-ray looks like here. You can't see it real large, but it's kind of there. So it shows you the 4 phases and it shows you the different colors. Based on the different colors, So you need to get your business to a solid blue. Once you get it to a solid blue, that's when you can sell it for the most money. Or if you want, you can just do an annuity. It'll literally run without you, and you can get an annuity check the rest of your life from it. And so the darker the color, the more it represents that your business is running without you. A lot of businesses look like this when they get started. Like a lot, yellow is, far below potential. Green is below potential. Red is average or good, and blue is great. It means that you have systems in place. So a lot of business owners, they're making a lot of money and they're very successful, but they're doing a lot of work. There's nothing wrong with being a hard worker and being good at what you do. But if that's what you do business wise, you're going to end up owning a job rather than owning a company, which is what most businesses do. So with 9 companies, I've been blessed to where I go ahead and have an extra 20 to 30 hours of free time a week. People are like, I own one company and I don't have 20 to 30 hours of free time a week. How do you do it with 9? Well, it's kind of like having 7 kids. Like people are like, how do you have 7 kids? It's actually fairly simple. You got to have your kids producing more than they consume. So large families learn very quickly, or you don't have a large family. How do you get the older ones helping the younger ones? Same thing is true in business. Examination, you should never do an examination, or you never should go ahead and implement something in your business without a good examination. A good examination will help us to see things that are different, see things in a different light. It's like it's right there, but an outside perspective helps us to see something different. Step 2 is coming up with solutions. When we see things differently, we can think differently. Literally, synapses in our brain go, "Oh my gracious!" It's like a goosebumps. Like you get goosebumps and you're tingling. You're like, I mean, the same information, nothing's changed, but we learn to see things in a different. When we see things differently, then we think differently, come up with different solutions. But the hardest part, as Elva had shared, the hardest part is doing it, follow through. And so there's something that's called in the DNA for life. One of the natural laws is it's called the 5 time management freedom fighters. And so there's 6 ways that you can do something. One is do all the work yourself, which as business owners, that's what we start out doing. When we own a company, we do all the work ourselves. And so we do all the work ourselves, which is fine initially, but we got to get away from that. Otherwise, we're going to end up owning a job rather than owning a company. The 5 time management freedom fighters are the magic of getting your business to run without you. So it's delegate, systematize, contract out, hire someone, or partner with someone. So those 5 time management freedom fighters, when you get that and you get that boss system in place, and so like I have more free time now with 9 companies than I did with one. Because once I figured out, okay, Mark, what you've got to do is you've got to get a boss in place. And once you get one boss in place, it'll help all the businesses. And then you start leveraging all these different things together. And so it's like, I wish when I was in my 20s or 30s, I wish that I would have known all of this. So we've gone over a lot of information in a very short period of time. Elva, any questions that you have?
No, not right now. Except it sounds like if you really want to have a solution, you have to know what you're working with, and that would be doing a analysis or a X-ray assessment.
It is. It's really cool. It's like it's so interesting because over the years there's been so many businesses that they haven't even seen the report. All they do is go through the interview and they're like, "Oh my gracious, Mark!" Like So just the questions in the X-ray. I mean, the results are awesome too, but the questions in the X-ray that causes us to think. So Albert Einstein said you can never solve a problem on the level it's created. What does it mean? It means we create our own problems based on how we think. So to solve a problem, we have to learn to think differently. Well, often we need somebody coming in, and it's not that we don't know the answers, it's we're not asking the best questions. So when we get somebody who really understands the science behind all of this and how it all works, and they start asking us questions, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I could approach it this way, this way, this way. And all of a sudden, it's like magic. So cool to have you on. Kenny, any other questions or thoughts that you had, sir?
No, I don't think so.
Chris, great to have you on. I think this is the first time you've been on the Coffee Connection virtual Coffee Connection. Did you have any questions or thoughts, Chris?
Yes, it is the first time, and you present a lot of useful information and possible solutions. So it's certainly worth considering.
Nice. Well, it's great to have you on, and so appreciate it. Look forward to having you come back. So when we get together, even 30 minutes, if you can't be consistent with 30 minutes a week, there's 10,080 minutes in a week. So if you can't be consistent with 30 minutes, you got, more problems. Like we got to go ahead and be consistent. And so, but the Coffee Connection and getting together, once a week virtually, and then once you get a group of 3, 4, 5 people locally, then what you do is you go ahead and start your own local coffee connection. And then you start using all the resources that are available through Coffee Connection and Life Masteries Institute. And they have some amazing resources that help us to understand all these different aspects. So if you have any questions on anything covered today, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll-free 888-230-2300, outside the U.S. 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.